Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of the Sports Shift. I'm Rhea Benet-Troilo, joined here by Brylin Adams. And before we get started, we want our thoughts and prayers go out to the Bryant family and the 8 other lives lost in the fatal helicopter tragedy, I should say, on January 26, 2020 in California. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families and their friends today as we commemorate their loss.
I still can't believe it's been 2 years, but on to more exciting news. The Vancouver Canucks hired Emily Castagne, who is the first female assistant general manager in team history, as well as some more female power. Jessica Cohan has been promoted to be the Portland Trail Blazers head athletic trainer, and she has now become the first woman in the NBA to hold that position. And like I said, we're always talking about some powerful female status going on, so congrats to them.
Rising up the ranks. Well, the NFL fined the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver $12,875 on Saturday after he used a cheerleader's pom-poms to celebrate a touchdown in their wild card win last week. Hill scored on a 31-yard pass from Patrick Mahomes in the third quarter of Kansas City's 42-21 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card round last week. While celebrating in the end zone, Hill grabbed the Chiefs cheerleaders' pom-poms and started dancing. Well, a great way to celebrate the touchdown, but I guess the NFL wasn't with it.
I know, like, you're not allowed to use a prop because I know one year somebody, I think it was Antonio Brown, he like jumped on the field goal post and they fined him. So I don't know, just act like you've sort of scored a touchdown before.
Right.
I mean, you can get excited. But speaking of the NFL, we have the AFC and NFC championships this weekend to see who will be playing in the Super Bowl on February 13th. We have the Cincinnati Bengals and Kansas City Chiefs who are playing at home, fighting for the AFC title, and the San Francisco 49ers competing against Los Angeles Rams, who are playing at home as well, for the NFC title. Rhea, who do you predict?
Bengals. Joe Burrow all the way. Listen, I'm all for an underdog. I'm all for the rookies. So, Bengals. I'm locking it in.
Bengals.
How about you, Brylin?
I'm thinking the Rams.
Okay.
I'm really team Matt Stafford. I think he deserves a ring after being in Detroit for so long, and I'm a fan of their coach as well. So.
And they have a solid defense, one of the best in the league. So,
there we go.
We'll see how that plays out. But on to the Eagles, our Eagles. There have been no shortages of trade rumors involving the Seattle Seahawks. Moving on from Russell Wilson, now the Eagles may just be in the mix to get involved. Former NFL scout Daniel Jeremiah, now an NFL Network analyst, took to Twitter to float a fun trade proposal between the Seahawks and Eagles. The Eagles have the number 15 and number 16 and number 19 picks in the upcoming draft. The challenge for the Seahawks with this hypothetical trade is the 2022 quarterback class is full of question marks, leaving Seattle with a massive hole to fill if they agreed to the proposal. Well, a similar deal has been floating around with the Eagles, including quarterback Jalen Hurts instead of one of the first-round picks. The proposal has the Seahawks receiving the number 16 and the number 19 picks, along with Hurts in exchange for Wilson. So, I mean, they're very similar in their game plays, in their stature, in their build. What do you think about this speculation?
I don't know. I said last week that I don't think the Eagles should be, last week we mentioned that the Eagles were building around Jalen Hurts, and I disagreed with that. I don't think Jalen Hurts is their man. I think they do need a new quarterback, and if that was the case, I think Wilson should start if he does go to the Eagles. I think Wilson should start, and if they still have Hurts, he should be backup.
I agree. That's what I was thinking as well, bumping Hurts down to the backup.
I think he could learn from Wilson just by watching.
Oh, so yeah, definitely. But I know Howie Roseman said they were planning on building around Jalen Hurts. So we'll see how that all plays out. But so far, the Seahawks have given no indication they will consider trading Wilson. But the team's franchise quarterback has a no-trade clause in his deal, giving him ultimate control over his future. Wilson is under contract through the 2023 season and is slated to have a $37 million cap hit in 2022. So Hurts for Wilson, Wilson for backup. or Hurts for Wilson's backup, we shall see how the 2022 season goes.
And you did mention, like, there are plenty of similarities between the two passers to start. Although Hurts, is 2 inches taller than 5'11" Wilson, both are on the shorter side of the prototypical NFL quarterbacks. To make up for their lack of height, both Wilson and Hurts are plenty effective in moving out of the pocket and making plays, whether that's throwing on the move or running the football, which we know Hurts does a lot of. Both Hurts and Wilson had similar paths to the NFL, too. Wilson was a 3-year starter at NC State before transferring to Wisconsin for his final season, while Hurts started 2+ years at Alabama before moving on to Oklahoma for his final year in school. So despite having plenty of success in college, both Wilson and Hurts were overlooked in their respective drafts. The Seahawks passer going in the 3rd round, while Hurts watched 4 other quarterbacks hear their name before the Eagles ultimately called his. So I guess we will see. They both have similar playing styles, so maybe they will pick up Wilson, as someone to look up to for Hurts. But
right. Well, I'll leave you with this. Can you run the ball all the way to the Super Bowl? I mean, you got to be a passer and you got to have a balance of both. So we'll see what the Eagles decide to do, and ultimately the Seahawks and Wilson. But in other news, the Phillies have landed 2 of America's top 100 prospects in baseball. For the 2nd year in a row, the Phillies have just 2 players on the list. Right-handed pitcher Mick Abel returns. He is ranked number 51, up from number 99 a year ago. Pitcher Spencer Howard, since traded to Texas, ranked number 27 on last year's list. Bryson Stott, 24, was the team's top pick in the 2019 draft. He played at 3 levels of minor league ball in 2021, finishing at AAA, and won the Paul Owens Award as the top player in the Phillies system. Stott plays 3 infield positions, but shortstop is his position by trade. Phil's general manager Dave Dombrowski is on record as saying the Phillies need improved play from Gregorius, as we alluded to last week, at the position. Stott could push Gregorius for work in spring training and beyond. Being on Baseball America's top 100 list does not ensure lasting major league success. If nothing else, the list can provide a scorecard of top players to keep an eye on in the coming season and offer a read on the overall strength of a team's farm system. So we have, obviously the Phillies have some stars coming up.
Stott could give Gregorius a run for his money, but we like his walk-up song. So,
so that might be the deal breaker.
But, speaking of giving someone a run for their money, in grasping for just about any help they can get, the Philadelphia Flyers have added John Torchetti, my apologies, to the club's coaching staff as an assistant for the remainder of the season. Mike Yeo will remain the head coach for the rest of the season, along with assistants Nick Schultz and Darrell Williams. Torchetti was an assistant coach with the 2010 Chicago Blackhawks and former interim head coach with Florida, LA, and Minnesota. In front of the listed attendance of 14,868 fans, the Flyers reached franchise infamy Monday night with a 3-1 loss to the Stars at the Wells Fargo Center. The 2021-22 club tied the Flyers' all-time worst winless skid at 12 games. The Flyers played a hard game. They just have no offensive power. They scored 1.92 goals per game during this 12-game losing streak, and that builds all kinds of pressure on the guys already feeling it. The one positive flying out from Monday night's game, aside from Carter Hart's solid net minding, was the success of Keith Yandle and his impressive Ironman streak. He matched the NHL record for the most consecutive games played in a career, tying Doug Jarvis at 964 games played. Tuesday night, he went on to break that streak, become the NHL's ultimate Ironman, playing 965 consecutive games. Although Keith Yandle makes NHL history, the Flyers made franchise history, establishing the longest losing streak ever recorded by the team at 13 consecutive losses. The New York Islanders swept the Orange and Black away last night after Morgan Frost took a delay-of-game penalty, giving the Isles the power play in the third that the Flyers successfully killed off until they didn't. Another great effort by the Flyers goaltender Martin Jones, but the rest of the team just could not finish the job. The Isles scored late in the third to make the final score 4-3. The Flyers have a 3-home game up next where they will look to hopefully crush this streak and contend in the right direction. I know that the longest losing streak in NHL history is held by the 03-04 Penguins, but it's also tied by the 2020-21 Buffalo Sabres with 18 games. So hopefully the home crowd can get them going, maybe not, but I know that they're struggling right now.
Fly guys, you don't want to lose 5 more. That's all I'm saying. But, they need to find a way. I know we've said this before the show. It's obviously not their full roster. They're dealing with lots and lots of injuries. It's just, and then everything with like the coaching staff and insurmountable to that. But, we'll just have to see.
I have a feeling there's locker room problems.
Yes. We didn't get to catch Chuck Fletcher's press conference today at 11, but after we do, we will run it up next week and get you all that comes with that and what he has to say on the statement of the team. But in other news, our Sixers, our beloved Sixers.
We love our Sixers.
Yes. They improved to 28-19 on Tuesday night with a 117-107 victory over the undermanned Pelicans. Joel Embiid scored 42 points, grabbed 14 rebounds, and blocked 4 shots, continuing an incredibly consistent stretch of dominance. Tobias Harris notched 33 points and 11 boards. Joel Embiid continues to stun and make some history as he is now the only Sixer to rack up more than 38 points and 12 rebounds in 14 out of 15 games. The Sixers will go head-to-head with the Lakers Thursday night for Game 2 of their homestand at the Wells Fargo Center. Tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. Joel Embiid, he just continues to be a superstar, and everyone's hopping on an MVP.
I'm all behind the statue at Xfinity. We should definitely have a GoFundMe for that.
It's coming. We're gonna make a petition for that. But now, unless the 76ers are blown away by a substantially improved offer, they'd prefer to keep Ben Simmons in hopes to orchestrate a blockbuster offer for Brooklyn Nets guard James Harden. Simmons is officially out for personal reasons to address his mental health and will continue to sit out if not moved by the February 10th trade deadline. Simmons will still have 3 years and $113 million left on his contract after this season. Harden, on the other hand, can reach unrestricted free agency this summer by declining his $47.4 million player option for the 2022-23 season. If he does, then the Nets would be able to re-sign the former league MVP to a multi-year extension or as a part of a sign-and-trade deal. However, there is no indication that Harden wishes to depart from Brooklyn, but this is an opportunity the 6-seeded Sixers could hop up on. Daryl Morey, he doesn't want to give up Ben Simmons without like a fair trade, and I understand that because you have a number 1 seeded top pick. You don't want to go right. You don't want to go less, or you don't want to be. You want to get the most out of your trade. So
I agree. But, ultimately they need to get rid of Simmons. But, I mean, they might have to cut their losses at this point. Like, I didn't realize how much they make. Like, that, $113.7 million, I was like, that is way more than I thought. I was doing some research. But, yeah. But on to other news. Our Newman athletes don't make as much as that, but they play with a lot more heart. The men's basketball team lost their first conference game Saturday to the Marymount Saints. I had a strong feeling about this one, Rhea, but the Knights just were outplayed and they lost 89-65. They take on the Cabrini Cavaliers on the road Saturday at 4 p.m. But on the other hand, the women's basketball team continued conference play this past week. They lost to Marymount Saturday and Cabrini on Monday night. But the women were fighting tooth and nail Monday night against the Cavs. Chelsea Keebler tied up the ball game, hitting a three-pointer with about 20 seconds left to tie the game at 48. Unfortunately, the Knights fouled with 3 seconds left, and Cabrini added 2 foul shots, closing the game 48-50. I just feel like they couldn't catch a break. Like, I was watching the game. the refs weren't calling a thing, which, is fine. It was consistent at that point. It wasn't, one-sided, but I just felt like nothing was going in for our Knights, and, it just happens to be one of those games, and it's very frustrating, but it's exciting that they were, they were missing baskets and they were still in the game.
Yes.
So that was very exciting.
Especially that late in the game. I'm sure it was a nail biter. But they head down to Salisbury tonight at 7 p.m. and then they play Cabrini again on Saturday at 2 in hopes to get revenge on the 2-point loss. The men's hockey team, unfortunately, was swept again this past weekend against Wilkes University and King's College. The UCHC updated their playoff policy, and 8 teams are now qualified, which puts Newman back in the picture. They have to win these next 2 games against Lebanon Valley and Arcadia in order to stay in contention. They hit the road Friday, but they will be back home in Ring 3 Saturday at 4 p.m. to take on the Arcadia Knights. So hopefully they can turn things around, bring it back home, get their home crowd.
Yep. Because after that, they all have a tough schedule. So I really think they need to lock these 2 games in, to make sure that they secure that playoff spot.
Yeah.
But the women's hockey team has been all over the place, playing 4 games in the past 5 days. Or in the last 5 days last week. I feel like that's so much. I would be exhausted. On the 3-game losing streak, hopefully they have been able to recover and rest in their upcoming trip to Utica College this weekend. So, rest up, do what you got to do. That's a lot of playing in just a short amount of time. And I know that their team's been struggling with injuries and, COVID protocols, stuff like that. So it's not an easy season for them, but they are fighting through it, and hopefully they can make the best of it out of the end of their season. But the men's volleyball team are taking on the University of Valley Forge tomorrow night in the Miranda Center at 7 p.m. So I think everyone should go support them for their home opener. I think it'll be a very good game to go to.
Oh, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. But the men and women's indoor track and field team were back in action this past Saturday at the Collegeville Classic, hosted by Ursinus College. Freshman Drew Kanitsi made a grand appearance back running for the first time since December. He came in hot with a 4-minute and 24-second mile time and crossed the finish line at 1 minute and 57 seconds to win the 800-meter race. Both races broke personal and program records that he originally set earlier at the Bowtie Classic. Aaron Williams was the top field competitor for the night Saturday, taking home a 12th place finish in shot put with an average throw of 9.58 meters. Our Knights will compete again next Friday, January 28th at the Muhlenberg Indoor Invitational in Allentown. So best of luck to our Knights. You keep it up. You go. You fight for all you got.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. We have an interview next week, so stay tuned. Should be a very exciting one. Thanks. Shout out to our intern, Mike McCrossan, again, for setting that up. Thanks for joining. Have a great day.